Welcome to Dreamweaver Tales. Get comfortable, close your eyes, and let my voice guide you into a world of peaceful dreams. The storm has been building all afternoon, and now, as twilight deepens into true evening, you find yourself walking along an ancient cobblestone path that winds its way up a gentle hillside. The stones beneath your feet are smooth and worn by countless travelers who have passed this way over the centuries, each footstep adding to the polished surface that now guides you forward through the gathering dusk. Behind you, the first rumbles of thunder roll across the distant valleys. But here, on this protected slope, there's something almost welcoming about the approaching tempest. The air carries that distinctive scent that comes before a storm, rich and electric, filled with the promise of rain on warm earth. You pause for a moment to breathe it in, feeling how it seems to awaken something deep and primal within you, a recognition of nature's rhythms that speaks to the quietest corners of your soul. The path curves gently ahead, bordered on both sides by wild lavender that has grown tall and untended, its purple blooms releasing their perfume more intensely in the humid air. As you continue walking, the cobblestones gradually give way to larger, more weathered stones, and you realize this path is far older than you first imagined. Some of these stones bear the faint marks of wagon wheels, worn so smooth they're barely visible. Speaking of medieval carts and travelers from ages long past, the rhythm of your footsteps on this ancient surface becomes almost meditative, a gentle percussion that harmonizes with the distant thunder and the soft whisper of wind through the lavender. Ahead, the path takes a graceful turn around a grove of old oak trees, their massive trunks twisted and gnarled with age, their branches creating a natural archway overhead. As you pass beneath them, you notice how they seem to shelter this section of the path from the wind, creating a pocket of stillness that feels almost sacred. The temperature here is noticeably cooler, and you can smell the earthy richness of moss and old bark, mixed with something else, something that speaks of stone and age and permanence. Beyond the oak grove, the path opens up again, and now you can see your destination rising before you in the growing darkness. The castle emerges from the hillside like something from a half-remembered dream, its massive walls seeming to grow directly from the living rock beneath. Even in the dim light, you can see that this is no ordinary fortress. This is a structure that has stood against storms and seasons for hundreds of years, its stones darkened by weather and time into something that feels more like part of the landscape than a human construction. The sight of it sends a wave of unexpected peace through you. There's something about those thick, enduring walls that speaks of absolute safety, of shelter that has been tested by countless storms and has never failed. The windows you can see are few but generous, glowing with the warm golden light of fires within. And even from this distance, that light seems to reach out to you like a gentle invitation. The path begins to climb more steeply now, winding back and forth across the face of the hill in gentle switchbacks that make the ascent feel effortless rather than demanding. With each turn, you catch new glimpses of the castle above, each view revealing different aspects of its architecture. A round tower here, a graceful buttress there, all of it fitted together with the kind of masterful stonework that could only have been achieved by craftsmen who saw their work as something approaching art. The storm behind you is growing closer now, and you can feel the first stirrings of wind reaching up the hillside. But rather than feeling urgent or threatened, you find yourself moving at an even more leisurely pace, somehow knowing with absolute certainty that you will reach the safety of those walls with time to spare. The approaching storm becomes not a source of anxiety, but almost a companion. Its distant rumbles and the occasional flash of lightning on the horizon, adding drama to your peaceful journey. As you climb higher, you begin to notice other details about your surroundings. Ancient stone walls line portions of the path, not defensive walls, but the kind of low, comfortable barriers that might once have kept sheep or cattle from wandering. They're covered now with a thick carpet of moss that glows an almost luminescent green in the strange light that comes before a storm. Your fingers trail along the top of one of these walls as you walk, feeling the cool dampness of the moss and the solid warmth of the stone beneath. The scent of the air continues to change as you climb. The lavender gives way to the sharper, cleaner smell of rosemary and thyme, growing wild among the rocks, mixed with something that might be mint from a small stream that chatters invisibly somewhere among the stones. Each breath seems to clear your mind a little more, washing away the accumulated tensions of the day like cool water over heated stone. Now the path levels out onto a broader section, almost a terrace carved into the hillside, and here you encounter your first clear view of the castle's main entrance. The great wooden doors stand open, and warm light spills out across a wide courtyard, paved with the same ancient stones as the path you've been following. But these stones are larger, more precisely fitted, creating geometric patterns that draw the eye naturally toward the entrance. What strikes you most powerfully is not just the sight of those open doors, but the quality of welcome they represent. There are no guards visible, no sense of exclusion or challenge. The castle stands with its doors open to the night like a friend's house where you know you're always expected, always welcome. The light that flows from within isn't harsh or demanding, but soft and golden. The kind of light that comes from well-tended fires and oil lamps that have burned in their niches for generations. You pause here on this natural terrace, taking time to fully absorb the scene before you. Behind you, the storm continues its approach. You can see the lightning more clearly now, still distant, but definitely moving in your direction. The contrast between the approaching wildness of the weather and the solid, welcoming presence of the castle creates a feeling of anticipation that's entirely pleasant, like watching a spectacular sunset while sitting in a comfortable chair by your own fireside. The wind reaches you more consistently now, carrying new scents from the castle itself. The smell of wood smoke, certainly, but also something that might be bread baking, and perhaps the green scent of herbs growing in protected gardens within those walls. These domestic fragrances blend with the wilder smells of the hillside, to create an olfactory landscape that speaks of civilization harmoniously nested within the natural world. As you begin to walk across this final courtyard, your footsteps echo softly from the castle walls, but the sound is muffled and warm rather than harsh or echoing. The stones beneath your feet are worn smooth, not just by weather, but by the passage of countless feet over the centuries. Merchants and pilgrims, soldiers and scholars, families fleeing storms, much like the one approaching tonight. Each step connects you to this long chain of travelers who have found safety and welcome within these walls. The great doors grow larger as you approach, and you can see that they're carved with intricate patterns that speak of master craftsmen and patient years of work. The wood itself is dark with age, but perfectly preserved, oiled and maintained by generations of careful caretakers. Heavy iron hinges support their weight with the kind of engineering that was built to last not just years, but centuries. And the way they stand open now suggests they've been waiting specifically for your arrival. Just before you reach the threshold, you turn for one last look at the landscape you're leaving behind. The storm is much closer now. You can see the sheets of rain moving across the distant valleys, like gray curtains drawn across the darkening sky. Lightning illuminates the clouds from within, creating a natural light show that's both beautiful and dramatic. But here where you stand, protected by the castle's position and the lay of the land, you feel only the gentlest whisper of wind and the faintest moisture in the air. The contrast couldn't be more perfect. Behind you, nature in all its wild glory, approaching with power and majesty. Before you, human shelter at its most welcoming and secure. You're poised between these two worlds, wild and domestic, storm and sanctuary, and the moment feels pregnant with peaceful possibility. The first fat drops of rain begin to fall, warm and welcome on your skin, but you know that in just a few more steps you'll be safely inside, watching the storm's full fury from perfect comfort and security. With that knowledge settling into your bones like warmth from a well-tended fire, you step forward across the ancient threshold, ready to discover what waits within these welcoming walls. The storm may rage outside, but inside this fortress of stone and time, you know you'll find everything you need for a night of perfect peace and rest. The heavy wooden door closes behind you with a sound that speaks of centuries. Not a sharp slam, but a deep, resonant settling that seems to echo through layers of time itself. The iron hinges, worn smooth by countless hands seeking shelter just as you do now, release their tension with a satisfied sigh that mingles with the sudden hush that wraps around you like a protective cloak. Here, just inside the threshold, you pause to let your eyes adjust to this new world of safety. The contrast is immediate and profound. Where moments ago the wind tried to claim you as its own, now the air rests still and welcoming around your shoulders. The frantic percussion of rain against stone has softened to a distant murmur, filtered through thick walls that have weathered storms far fiercer than tonight's tempest. The scent that greets you tells the story of this ancient refuge in ways that words never could. there's the deep, earthy sweetness of old stone that has absorbed centuries of wood smoke from countless fires. Underneath that foundation runs a thread of something warmer, perhaps beeswax from candles that have burned here through long winter nights, or the lingering ghost of herbs that once hung in bundles from the rafters above. It's not the antiseptic cleanliness of modern spaces, but something far more comforting. The lived-in richness of a place that has sheltered souls for generations, beyond counting. Your hand still rests against the door's inner surface, and you can feel through the thick planks how the storm continues its wild dance in the world you've left behind. The wood vibrates almost imperceptibly with each gust that hurls itself against the castle's outer walls. But here inside, that fury feels distant and manageable, like thunder heard from deep within a cave. The door itself is a masterpiece of medieval craftsmanship, its surface carved with symbols worn smooth by time, iron studs arranged in patterns that speak of both beauty and strength. As your vision adjusts to the softer light within these walls, details begin to emerge from the gentle shadows, like secrets willing to be shared. The entryway stretches before you, neither grand nor humble, but perfectly proportioned for its purpose, to welcome the storm-tossed and guide them toward warmth and rest. The floor beneath your feet is made of stones fitted together with such skill that centuries of footsteps have only polished them to a smoother perfection. Each stone tells its own quiet story through subtle variations in color, some the deep gray of winter skies, others touched with veins of darker charcoal that catch what little light filters through the space. The walls around you rise with a gentle curve that draws your eye naturally upward, their surfaces shaped from the same enduring stone as the floor. But these walls have been touched by human hands in ways that transform mere architecture into something approaching art. Here and there, shallow niches hold thick candles whose flames dance without the frantic urgency they might show in windier spaces. Their light doesn't harsh or glare, but spreads in warm pools that overlap and blend, creating an illumination that seems to breathe with its own gentle rhythm. The air itself feels different here, not just still, but somehow denser with comfort and security. Each breath you take carries that perfect temperature that asks nothing of your body's energy to maintain. Your skin, still remembering the storm's sharp bite, begins to soften and relax as the castle's ancient warmth seeps into your bones. This isn't the aggressive heat that might assault you after coming in from the cold, but something far more subtle and kind, warmth that seems to rise from the very stones themselves, as if the walls have spent centuries learning exactly how to shelter those who seek refuge within them. Sound behaves differently in this space, you notice as you take your first few steps deeper into the entryway. Your footfalls don't echo with the harsh brightness they might produce in an empty modern building. Instead, they're absorbed and softened by the stone and timber around you, creating gentle whispers that seem to announce your presence to the castle in the most courteous possible way. Even the storm outside has transformed from a chaotic assault into something more like distant music, the kind of rhythmic pattering that might lull a child to sleep in a cozy nursery. Moving deeper into this threshold space, you discover that medieval builders understood something profound about the transition from danger to safety. This isn't simply a corridor to hurry through, but a decompression chamber for the soul. The space curves gradually as it draws you inward, each turn revealing new details that help your mind release the tension of the world outside. Here, a wooden bench worn smooth by countless travelers sits beneath a small tapestry whose faded blues and golds hint at stories of peacetime celebrations. There, an iron hook holds a lantern whose steady flame casts dancing shadows that play across the stone like gentle companions. The temperature continues to welcome your body's gradual adjustment. You can feel your muscles beginning to unknot themselves from the defensive tension they carried against the storm's assault. Your shoulders settle lower. Your breathing deepens naturally, drawing in air that tastes faintly of the wood smoke that has seasoned these walls through countless seasons. Even your hands, which perhaps still tingle from the cold rain, begin to warm as they trail along the smooth stone walls, absorbing heat that seems to flow upward from some inexhaustible source deep within the castle's foundations. Light moves differently in this space than it does in the sharp-edged modern world. The candle flames don't simply illuminate. They seem to collaborate with the stone and timber to create pockets of golden visibility that blend seamlessly into areas of restful shadow. Nothing is harshly revealed or completely hidden. Instead, your eyes are invited to explore gradually, discovering new textures and details as they adjust to this gentler way of seeing. The play of light and shadow creates depth that makes the space feel both intimate and expansive, as if the walls themselves are breathing slowly and peacefully around you. Your journey through this threshold reveals the medieval understanding that entering a place of true refuge should be a gradual process, not a jarring transition. Each element you encounter, from the temperature of the air, to the texture of the walls, to the quality of the light, works together to help your body and mind release their grip on the urgency and tension that the storm demanded of you. Here, time itself seems to slow and thicken, allowing you the luxury of truly arriving rather than simply passing through. The deeper you move into this welcoming passage, the more you can feel the storm's power over your thoughts diminishing. What felt threatening and chaotic just moments ago has been transformed by these walls into something almost companionable, a wild symphony, playing beyond the boundaries of your current world, impressive in its power, but no longer able to touch your sense of security. The castle holds you now, and you begin to understand why structures like this one were built not just to withstand storms, but to transform the very experience of surviving them into something approaching comfort. As this threshold space curves ahead of you, promising deeper warmth and greater comfort still to come, you realize that crossing into safety isn't just about finding shelter from the storm. It's about allowing yourself to be gradually embraced by peace, to let the urgency drain from your body one breath at a time, one footstep at a time, until you're ready to fully inhabit the profound rest that waits for you in the heart of this ancient refuge. The storm continues its dance outside these walls, but here, in this gentle space between the chaos of the night and the deeper comfort that awaits you, you're exactly where you need to be. And now, as that profound sense of being exactly where you need to be settles into your bones, you find yourself drawn forward by something ineffable. Not urgency, but a quiet magnetic pull, like the way a river naturally finds its course through ancient stone. Your feet carry you toward what seems to be the heart of this sanctuary, where flickering light spills from beneath a pair of enormous wooden doors, their surfaces carved with intricate spirals that seem to move and shift in the dancing shadows. The doors stand slightly ajar, just enough to reveal glimpses of warmth beyond, and as you approach, the quality of sound changes around you. The storm's voice becomes more distant here, filtered through layers of stone and time until it transforms into something almost musical, a deep, rhythmic percussion that speaks of safety rather than threat. Your hand finds the smooth iron handle, worn smooth by countless other hands across countless years, and the door swings open with surprising ease, as if it has been waiting for exactly this moment, for exactly you. What welcomes you is a sight that makes your breath catch in quiet wonder. The great hall spreads before you like something from a half-remembered dream, vast, yet somehow intimate, grand, yet profoundly welcoming. The space rises and expands in ways that seem to defy the castle's exterior dimensions, as if the room itself has been crafted not just from stone and timber, but from the very essence of shelter and hospitality. Massive wooden beams arc overhead like the ribs of some great sleeping creature, their dark surfaces polished by centuries of firelight and filled with shadows that dance and sway in the most mesmerizing patterns. At the far end of the hall, a magnificent fireplace commands attention, not through ostentation, but through the pure magnetism of warmth and light in a world grown cold and wild. The fire burns with that perfect quality that only comes from well-seasoned wood, sending up gentle spirals of aromatic smoke that carries hints of applewood and cedar, oak, and something indefinably ancient. The flames don't roar or crackle aggressively. Instead, they whisper and murmur, creating a conversation with themselves that seems to welcome you into their circle of warmth. The floor beneath your feet tells its own story through worn stone flags, each one shaped by time and use into something uniquely beautiful. Some stones are dark granite, others a warm, honey-colored limestone, fitted together with such precision that the floor feels solid and eternal beneath you. Here and there, thick woolen rugs spread across the stones, not perfect carpets, but lived-in textiles in deep burgundy and forest green, their surfaces soft and giving, inviting your feet to sink slightly with each step in. As you move further into this remarkable space, you begin to notice the details that transform mere architecture into genuine sanctuary. Along the walls, tall windows stretch toward the vaulted ceiling, their diamond-paned glass thick and slightly irregular, distorting the storm outside into abstract patterns of moving darkness. But what captures your attention isn't the storm. It's how the firelight reflects in those ancient panes, creating dozens of smaller fires that twinkle and dance, multiplying the warmth until the entire hall seems to glow with golden possibility between the windows built into the stone walls themselves. Wooden alcoves hold collections of the most wonderfully random objects. Here, a shelf displays pewter goblets alongside leather-bound books, their spines worn smooth and their titles faded into illegibility. There, another niche contains what appears to be a collection of smooth river stones, each one different in size and color, arranged not for any artistic purpose, but simply because someone, sometime, found them beautiful enough to keep. The randomness of these collections speaks to decades of inhabitants, each adding their own small treasures to the hall's character. The furniture scattered throughout the space continues this theme of accumulated comfort. A long wooden table runs down the center of the hall, its surface bearing the gentle scars of countless meals, conversations, and quiet moments. The wood has been polished not to perfection, but to that warm patina that comes only from years of use and care. Around it, chairs of different styles and periods wait in companionable silence, some straight-backed and formal, others broader and more embracing, as if the hall has collected seating for every possible temperament and need. But it's not the individual elements that make this space so profoundly welcoming. It's the way everything works together to create an atmosphere that seems to wrap around you like the most comfortable of garments. The temperature here is perfect, neither too warm nor too cool, maintained by that steady fire and the thermal mass of the ancient stones. The air itself feels different, cleaner somehow, as if it has been filtered through centuries of peace, stripped of any urgency or demand. You find yourself gravitating toward the fireplace, drawn not just by its warmth, but by the hypnotic quality of the flames themselves. As you settle into one of the chairs arranged in a loose semicircle before the hearth, choosing instinctively the one that seems to call to you, you notice how the fire's light plays across every surface in the hall. The flames send shifting patterns up the stone walls, creating a slow, dreamy dance of light and shadow that seems perfectly choreographed to encourage the deepest relaxation. The chair that has chosen you proves to be exactly right for your body. Not too soft, not too firm, but with that perfect give that supports without constraining. The upholstery, a deep blue fabric that might once have been velvet, has softened with age until it feels like the most luxurious embrace against your skin. As you settle more fully into its embrace, you can feel your shoulders releasing tension you didn't even know you were carrying, your spine finding its natural curve against the chair's supportive back. From this vantage point, the great hall reveals even more of its secrets. The ceiling, now that you have time to really study it, proves to be a masterwork of medieval craftsmanship. The wooden beams are joined with complex joinery that speaks of master builders who understood their craft not just as construction, but as art. Between the beams, the stone vault disappears into soft shadows, creating a sense of boundless space above your head, as if the hall extends not just horizontally, but upward into some infinite protective darkness. The fire continues its gentle monologue, and you begin to distinguish the different voices within its conversation. the deep bass note of larger logs settling into their beds of coals, the lighter percussion of smaller pieces catching and releasing their stored sunlight, the almost musical whistle of sap encountering flame, creating tiny fountains of spark that rise and disappear like brief, beautiful thoughts. Each sound contributes to a symphony of comfort that seems specifically composed to quiet the restless parts of your mind. The scents layering through the air become more complex and inviting the longer you sit. Beyond the obvious fragrance of burning wood, you detect hints of beeswax from candles burned long ago, the faint mustiness of old books and worn leather, something that might be lavender or rosemary dried and stored somewhere nearby. These aren't overwhelming perfumes, but subtle notes that weave together into an olfactory tapestry that speaks of home in its most essential form. Not any specific home, but the archetypal idea of homecoming, of arrival, of being exactly where you belong. Outside, the storm continues its passionate dance, but from within this sanctuary, its voice has transformed completely. What might have seemed threatening from the exposed hillside now sounds like the most soothing of lullabies. The wind's passage around the castle's towers creates a low, harmonious drone that blends perfectly with the fire's crackling commentary. There's something profoundly different about the warmth from a wood fire. It doesn't simply heat the air around you, but seems to warm you from the inside out, as if the ancient sunshine that once fed these trees is being released again, returning to its work of nurturing life and comfort. Before the hearth, someone long ago placed a collection of seating that seems designed specifically for moments like this. A high-backed chair, upholstered in deep burgundy leather, sits at the perfect angle to catch both the fire's warmth and light. Its arms worn smooth by countless hands that have rested there during countless storms. Beside it, a footstool covered in tapestry depicts scenes of peaceful countryside, rolling hills dotted with sheep, orchards heavy with fruit, cottages with smoke curling lazily from their chimneys. These images seem to shift and breathe in the firelight, creating the illusion of tiny worlds where eternal summer afternoons unfold in perfect tranquility. You settle into this chair now and immediately understand why it was placed just here, at just this distance from the fire. The leather, warmed by the flame's radiance, seems to mold itself around your body with the wisdom of age and use. The high back supports you completely, while still allowing you to sink deeply into the seat, creating that perfect balance between support and surrender that your body has been craving. As you place your feet on the footstool, you feel your legs release a tension you've been carrying, perhaps for hours, perhaps for much longer. The armrests of the chair are the perfect height for your hands to rest naturally. And as you do, you notice that the leather here has been worn to an incredibly soft finish, polished by generations of palms and fingers that have traced these same paths while their owners sat in contemplation, watching fires just like this one burn through countless nights. There's something deeply comforting about this continuity, this sense of joining an unbroken chain of people who have found solace in this exact spot. From this vantage point, the fire reveals new layers of complexity and beauty. You can see how the flames flow like liquid light around the logs, finding every crack and crevice, turning rough bark into glowing landscapes of orange and gold. The wood shifts occasionally with soft sighs and gentle cracks, sending tiny showers of sparks up the chimney, while settling into new positions that will burn even more efficiently. Each sound the fire makes seems perfectly timed, arriving just when the silence might become too complete, providing a gentle percussion that underlies the storm's more distant symphony. The scent of the burning wood fills your awareness now. Not just the general smell of wood smoke, but the specific character of these particular trees. There's the sweetness of applewood, probably from orchard prunings, creating notes that remind you of late autumn harvests and cider brewing. Beneath that, the deeper, more substantial aroma of oak, solid and enduring, speaking of forests that have weathered centuries of seasons, and threading through both, the faintest hint of cedar, adding a clean, almost crystalline quality that seems to clear your mind with each breath. As you breathe in these scents, you feel something shifting in your chest, as if the fragrant air is not just filling your lungs, but reaching deeper, touching places that have been holding stress and worry, inviting them to release and flow away like smoke up the chimney. Each exhale carries away a little more tension. Each inhale brings a little more peace, until your breathing naturally synchronizes with the fire's own rhythm of flaring and settling, dancing and resting. The storm outside continues its work, but from here, settled in this perfect chair before this perfect fire, its voice has transformed completely. What sounded powerful and potentially threatening in the courtyard now sounds like nature's own lullaby, a deep bass note that harmonizes beautifully with the fire's higher-pitched whispers and crackles. The wind no longer seems to be trying to get in, but rather to be standing guard, creating a protective barrier of sound and movement that ensures your solitude and safety in this inner sanctum. From somewhere deeper in the castle, you occasionally hear the faint sound of a clock chiming the hour, its voice measured and unhurried, marking time without urgency. These distant chimes seem to arrive from another world entirely, a world where schedules and obligations exist, where time moves in linear fashion from task to task. Here by the fire, time flows more like honey, more like the slow dance of flames around seasoned wood, more like the gradual settling of storm-stirred emotions into perfect, contented peace. When that distant chime fades back into the storm's rhythm, you find yourself drawn away from the fire's immediate warmth toward the corridors that branch like veins through the castle's ancient body. A single candle waits on the stone mantel beside you, its flame steady and patient, as if it has been expecting this moment of wandering curiosity. The brass holder feels substantial in your palm, worn smooth by centuries of hands that have carried light through these same passageways on countless storm-filled nights. The corridor stretches before you like a tunnel carved from time itself, its walls built from massive blocks of gray stone that seem to absorb and hold the candlelight rather than simply reflect it. Each stone bears the subtle marks of its makers, tiny chisel marks, slight irregularities that speak of human hands working by lamplight centuries ago, weathered edges where countless shoulders have brushed past. The mortar between the blocks has darkened with age, creating a web of deeper shadows that your candle flame cannot quite penetrate. Your footsteps create a soft percussion against the worn flagstones beneath your feet, each step echoing faintly before being swallowed by the storm's distant voice. The sound feels almost musical, a gentle counterpoint to the rain's steady drumming on unseen windows somewhere in the castle's depths. Between your steps, silence pools like water in the spaces between stones, thick and welcoming. The air here carries different scents than the great hall behind you. Instead of wood smoke and burning logs, you breathe in the mineral coolness of ancient stone, the faint mustiness of tapestries that have hung undisturbed for decades, and something else, perhaps beeswax from generations of candles, or the ghost of incense from some long-ago ceremony. Each breath tastes of history, of countless quiet evenings when others walked these halls, seeking solitude and peace. Your candle flame dances slightly as you move, creating a sphere of golden illumination that travels with you like a faithful companion. The light reveals details as you pass. An iron bracket mounted in the wall where torches once burned, a wooden door bound with black metal straps, a narrow window whose glass distorts the lightning flashes outside into abstract patterns of silver and shadow. The flame's movement makes everything seem alive, breathing gently in the shifting light. Along one wall, you notice a series of painted panels, their colors muted by age but still visible in your candle's glow. The paintings depict scenes from seasons long past, harvest festivals where people dance around tables laden with autumn bounty, winter celebrations where families gather close around hearth fires, spring mornings where children chase butterflies through castle gardens. The faces in these scenes wear expressions of contentment and belonging, as if the artist captured not just their appearance, but their sense of being exactly where they were meant to be. A gentle draft moves through the corridor, carrying with it the sound of rain striking glass somewhere ahead. Your candle flame bends slightly but does not falter, and you follow this whisper of moving air around a corner where the passage opens into a wider space. Here, tall windows line one wall, their diamond-paned glass offering glimpses of the storm's magnificent display outside. Lightning illuminates the courtyard beyond in brief, brilliant moments, revealing rain-slicked cobblestones and the dark silhouettes of bare tree branches swaying in the wind. Between the windows, comfortable alcoves have been carved into the stone, each furnished with a simple wooden bench topped with faded cushions. These spaces invite rest, conversation, or quiet contemplation while watching the weather's drama unfold beyond the protective glass. You can imagine countless evenings when castle dwellers gathered here to share stories, to work on needlework by candlelight, or simply to sit in companionable silence while storms passed overhead. The cushions beneath your hand feel soft and welcoming as you pause beside one of these alcoves, their fabric worn smooth by years of use. The stuffing within has settled into comfortable contours that seem perfectly shaped for peaceful resting. Outside, a particularly brilliant flash of lightning illuminates the entire courtyard for several seconds, and in that brief daylight, you glimpse a small garden where herbs and flowers sleep beneath the rain's gentle benediction. Your candle flame reflects in the window glass, creating a double image: the warm light in your hand and its twin floating in the dark space beyond the pane. This reflection wavers and shifts with each movement of the flame, like a signal being sent across vast distances to someone who might be watching from the storm. The glass itself bears the slight imperfections of age, tiny bubbles and waves that fracture the candlelight into miniature rainbows along its surface. Continuing along this windowed corridor, you discover that each alcove offers a slightly different view of the storm's progress. From one, you can see how the rain falls in shifting curtains across the courtyard, sometimes straight and purposeful, sometimes angled by gusts of wind that send droplets dancing in spirals and eddies. From another, lightning reveals distant hills rolling away into the darkness, their slopes gleaming wetly under the sky's irregular illumination. The sound of your own breathing mingles with the storm's voice, and the soft whisper of the candle flame consuming its wax. This combination creates a rhythm that feels perfectly natural, as if you have become part of the castle's own breathing, its own quiet circulation of air and sound, and peaceful presence. Your heartbeat slows to match this unhurried tempo, finding synchronization with the ancient rhythms that have pulsed through these walls for centuries. At the corridor's far end, you discover a spiral staircase carved from the same gray stone as the walls, its steps worn into gentle curves by countless feet that have climbed and descended over the generations. The banister, hewn from dark oak and polished by the touch of hands, feels warm and alive beneath your palm. Your candle's light cannot reach the staircase's upper reaches, but you sense space opening above you, galleries and chambers that extend upward into the castle's towering heights. But tonight, the horizontal world of corridors calls to you more strongly than any vertical exploration. You turn away from the staircase and follow another passageway that branches off to your left, this one narrower and more intimate than the windowed gallery you have just explored. Here, the ceiling curves in a gentle arch overhead, and the walls are lined with wooden panels that have darkened to the color of rich chocolate with age. These wood panels bear intricate carvings, vines and leaves intertwining in patterns that seem to flow and move in your candlelight. Geometric designs that draw the eye into spirals and circles. Figures of animals and birds that appear almost ready to step from their wooden frames into the flickering illumination. The carver's skill is evident in every detail, from the delicate texture of a carved feather to the realistic curve of a vine's tendril as it winds around an invisible support. Between some of the panels, narrow shelves hold objects that speak of daily life in centuries past. Pewter candlesticks green with age, leather-bound books whose titles have faded beyond reading, small wooden boxes whose contents remain mysterious, ceramic vessels glazed in colors that glow jewel-like in your candle's warm light. These objects feel like old friends waiting patiently for someone to notice them again, to appreciate their simple beauty and the stories they might tell. One book draws your attention particularly. Its leather binding worn soft as fabric. Its page is edged with gold that catches and holds your candle's light. Without disturbing its rest on the shelf, you can see that its pages are filled with handwritten text in an elegant script. The ink faded to brown, but still clearly legible. Perhaps it contains recipes for castle feasts, or records of harvests and celebrations, or simply the daily observations of someone who once walked these very corridors on nights, much like this one. The air in this narrower passage feels even more intimate and protected than the wider galleries, as if the closer walls create an extra layer of shelter from the storm outside. Your candle flame burns more steadily here, painting the carved panels and shelf treasures in consistent golden hues that bring out every texture and detail. The wood panels seem to radiate a warmth of their own, accumulated from decades of absorbed sunlight and human presence. As you continue through this gallery of carved wonders, you notice that the storm's voice has changed subtly. The wind's fierce howling has softened to a steady whisper, and the rain's drumbeat has settled into a more gentle rhythm that speaks of a weather system beginning to ease its intensity. These sounds filter through the castle's thick walls like a lullaby, creating a backdrop of natural white noise that enhances rather than disturbs the profound quiet of these interior spaces. Your own presence in these corridors feels perfectly natural, as if you have always belonged here among the carved panels and ancient treasures, as if your footsteps have joined the endless procession of others who have found comfort and peace in these protected passages during storms throughout the centuries. The candle in your hand burns with unwavering devotion, its light sufficient to reveal each wonder as you encounter it, yet gentle enough to preserve the mysteries that lie just beyond its golden reach. The soft glow of your candle precedes you as your path curves gently to the left, and there, through an archway framed by columns worn smooth by centuries of passing hands, you discover a sight that draws a quiet breath of wonder from your lips. Before you spreads a library of such serene beauty that time itself seems to pause in reverence. The space opens like a sanctuary of knowledge, its vaulted ceiling disappearing into shadows that dance peacefully above towering shelves of leather-bound volumes. The storm outside feels impossibly distant here, its fury transformed into nothing more than a gentle percussion that adds rhythm to the profound silence that cradles every book, every manuscript, every carefully preserved scroll. Your footsteps sink into thick Persian rugs that muffle sound so completely that each step becomes a whispered prayer. The patterns beneath your feet tell stories of distant lands, their deep burgundies and midnight blues, creating pathways between reading alcoves where high-backed chairs wait with the patience of old friends. The leather of these chairs has been worn to a softness that speaks of countless readers who have found solace here, their forms creating gentle depressions in the seats, armrests polished smooth by the unconscious caress of hands turning pages through long, peaceful hours. The air here holds the most extraordinary fragrance, not just the expected scent of aged paper and binding leather, though these notes form the foundation of this olfactory symphony. There is also the warm sweetness of beeswax from the reading lamps, their brass fittings gleaming softly in your candlelight. Somewhere in the mixture floats the faint trace of lavender, as if sachets were once tucked between the pages to protect precious texts from the dampness that stone walls might harbor. Cedar, too, adds its voice, likely from the careful construction of the shelves themselves, chosen specifically to guard against insects and time's patient hunger. You move deeper into this haven, your candle revealing new wonders with each step. The books themselves seem to breathe in the flickering light, their spines creating a vertical landscape of knowledge that stretches from floor to ceiling. Some volumes stand tall and proud, their titles embossed in gold leaf that catches your flame like captured sunlight. Others huddle together in companionable clusters, smaller texts whose modest size belies the treasures contained within their covers. Here and there, gaps in the careful arrangements reveal reading stands where particularly precious tomes once rested open, inviting scholars to spend hours in quiet communion with ancient wisdom. The storm's voice reaches you here as the softest murmur, filtered through stone and wood until it becomes less sound than feeling, a gentle vibration that seems to emanate from the walls themselves. This subtle resonance creates an atmosphere of perfect security, as if the castle's bones are humming a lullaby just for you. The rain against distant windows has become a rhythm so faint it blends with your own heartbeat, while the wind's passages through the towers above sound like whispered conversations between old friends, sharing secrets in a language you understand, not with your mind, but with something deeper, more primal. You discover a reading nook tucked beside a window, whose shutters are closed against the night. The wooden panels carved with intricate vine patterns that your candlelight traces with loving detail. A small table sits beside the chair here, its surface bearing the gentle rings left by countless cups of tea and goblets of wine shared with beloved books during storms just like this one. The wood of this table has been worn to silk by the unconscious gestures of readers, fingers tracing thoughtful circles as minds wandered through distant lands and forgotten times, palms resting flat as eyes moved across lines of poetry that stirred sleeping hearts to wakefulness. As you settle into one of these ancient chairs, the leather welcomes your form with a gentle sigh, as if it has been waiting specifically for your arrival. The cushions, stuffed with down that has maintained its softness through decades of use, conform to your body with such perfect accommodation that you feel immediately at home. Your candle, placed carefully on the small table beside you, continues its faithful vigil, its flame steady and strong, casting a circle of golden warmth that encompasses just enough space to create an intimate sanctuary within this larger sanctuary. From this vantage point, the library reveals new layers of tranquility. The shadows between the shelves hold not mystery now, but comfort, like the spaces between words in a favorite poem that give meaning room to breathe. Your eyes trace the spines of books whose subjects you can only imagine, volumes of philosophy that once challenged great minds, collections of poetry that stirred hearts across centuries, treatises on natural philosophy that pushed the boundaries of understanding, histories that preserved the stories of those who came before, their triumphs and sorrows now sleeping peacefully in measured prose. The candlelight plays across the carved details of the shelving itself, revealing the work of artisans who understood that knowledge deserves beauty as its companion. Grapevines wind around the vertical supports, their wooden leaves so delicately wrought they seem ready to flutter in an imagined breeze. Oak leaves cluster at the joints where shelves meet their supports, each one carved with veins and textures that speak of autumn afternoons when such details were lovingly shaped by patient hands. Between these natural motifs, small creatures peek out with gentle eyes, owls perched among scrolls, mice nibbling thoughtfully at the corners of manuscripts, cats curled contentedly beside inkwells, all rendered with a whimsy that brings life to this temple of learning. The temperature here strikes a perfect balance, the stone walls holding just enough coolness to keep the air fresh, while the accumulated warmth of your candle and countless others before it has created a microclimate of comfort. There is no draft here to disturb the pages of open books, no chill to make a reader draw their cloak more tightly around their shoulders. Instead, the air moves with the gentlest circulation, just enough to keep the atmosphere from becoming stagnant, carrying with it those delicious scents of paper and leather, cedar and beeswax, lavender, and the indefinable perfume of peaceful solitude. Your breathing has naturally slowed to match the rhythm of this place, each inhalation drawing in not just air but tranquility itself. The exhalation that follows seems to release not just breath, but the accumulated tensions of the day, the week, the season of storms that led you to this castle's protection. In this exchange, you feel yourself becoming part of the library's own breathing, joining the slow, steady respiration of a place that has known such peace for centuries and will know it for centuries more. The flame of your candle dances occasionally, not with any disturbance, but with the simple joy of existing in such a perfect setting. Its light reveals the grain of the wooden table beside you, patterns in the wood that tell the story of a tree that grew slowly, patiently, adding ring upon ring until it was ready to become part of this sanctuary. The brass fittings of the chair catch the light and throw it back in tiny points of brilliance, like earthbound stars, celebrating their place in this constellation of comfort. As you rest in this profound silence, broken only by the storm's distant lullaby, you become aware of the layers of peace that surround you. There's the immediate peace of your body, supported and warmed and perfectly positioned for rest. Beyond that lies the peace of this room, with its careful arrangements and gentle shadows, its accumulated wisdom and patient atmosphere. Further still stretches the peace of the castle itself, its strong walls and protective embrace, its corridors and chambers all working in harmony to create this haven against the wild night outside. But perhaps most profound is the peace that comes from understanding that you are part of something larger, a long tradition of souls who have found refuge in places like this, who have sat in chairs like this, watching candles like this burn steady and true, while storms like this spend their fury against stone walls that stand unmoved and unafraid. You are both completely alone and completely connected, singular in this moment, yet joined to all who have ever sought the particular sanctuary that only books and quietude can provide. This quiet communion with centuries of knowledge settles into your bones like warmth from the hearth, and gradually you become aware of a gentle stirring within yourself, not restlessness, but rather the soft awakening of curiosity. The storm continues its rhythmic conversation with the castle walls, but here in this cocoon of learning and lamplight, you find yourself drawn to explore further into the sanctuary you've discovered. Your eyes lift from the open pages before you and trace the gentle shadows that dance along the curved stone walls, following them upward until they disappear into the soft darkness above. There, barely visible in the amber glow, you notice the beginning of something that calls to you with quiet insistence. Stone steps, worn smooth by countless footfalls over the centuries, curve gracefully upward along the tower's inner wall, disappearing around the gentle bend like a whispered invitation to discovery. Each step has been shaped by time and use into something more beautiful than any craftsman could have originally intended. The edges rounded and polished by the passage of countless souls who have made this same journey before you. The decision to rise from your comfortable haven comes naturally, without hurry or urgency. You close the book gently, your fingers lingering for a moment on its worn leather cover, and push back from the wooden table with the soft scrape of chair legs against stone. The candle flame barely flickers at your movement, so still is the air within these protective walls. You lift the brass candle holder, feeling its pleasant weight in your palm, the metal still warm from hours of holding steady light. Your first step into the ancient stairway sends a small thrill of connection through the soles of your feet. The stone is surprisingly warm, not from any external heat, but from that peculiar thermal memory that old buildings possess, as if the very walls have absorbed decades of human presence and now radiate it back in gentle waves. The surface beneath your shoes feels almost alive, smoothed into curves and hollows that seem designed specifically for the human foot, though you know this perfection comes not from planning, but from the patient artistry of time itself. As you begin to climb, following the spiral's gentle mathematics, the candlelight creates a moving sphere of visibility around you. The rough-hewn stones of the outer wall pass slowly by, each one unique in its texture and coloring, some bearing the subtle tool marks of medieval masons, others worn completely smooth, and still others showing the natural patterns of the quarry from which they came. Your free hand naturally finds the wall for balance, and you're surprised by the variety of sensations your fingertips encounter. Here, a stone with veins of quartz that catch the light like frozen lightning. There, a section where the mortar has receded slightly, creating shallow channels that your fingers trace automatically. The spiral nature of your ascent creates a hypnotic rhythm, Step, turn slightly. Step, turn slightly. Each movement carrying you both higher and around, so that you're constantly gaining new perspectives on the space you're traveling through. The sound of your footsteps creates a gentle percussion against the storm's deeper symphony, not echoing exactly, but rather being absorbed into the stone and returned as something softer, more musical than the original sound. About 20 steps up, you notice how the air itself begins to change character. It's still warm and dry, but there's a subtle shift in the way sound travels, a slight change in the pressure against your eardrums that tells you the space above is different from the reading chamber below. Your candle flame continues to burn straight and steady, but now it illuminates different details. Carved symbols in some of the stones that might be mason's marks or might be something older. Small niches in the walls where other candles once burned, their surfaces blackened by centuries of soot and flame. The storm's voice changes too as you climb. What was a steady drumming against the lower windows becomes more varied up here, as if you're ascending into the layers of the tempest itself. Sometimes you hear the sharp patter of rain against glass, somewhere above. Sometimes the deeper moan of wind finding its way through ancient gaps in the stonework. But these sounds don't disturb the profound sense of security that surrounds you. Rather, they enhance it, reminding you with each gust and rattle that you are climbing ever higher into your fortress of solitude, ever deeper into safety. Your breathing finds its own rhythm with the climbing, never labored, but steady and deep, drawing in air that seems to carry within it the essence of centuries. There's stone dust here, so fine it's barely perceptible, and the faint mineral scent of ancient mortar. But there's something else too, the accumulated fragrance of all the wood fires that have warmed this tower, the ghost of candle wax from countless vigils, and underneath it all, that indefinable scent that old buildings develop, a perfume composed of time itself and all the human moments it has witnessed. The candlelight reveals more details as you continue your spiral ascent. Here, a section of wall where the stones are laid in a slightly different pattern, suggesting repairs made long ago during some forgotten season of restoration. There, a place where someone, centuries past, carved initials into the mortar. Not deep enough to weaken the structure, but permanent enough to serve as an eternal whisper of "I was here." Your fingers find these marks as you pass, and for a moment you're connected across the centuries to another soul who climbed these same steps, perhaps during another storm, perhaps seeking the same sense of sanctuary that draws you upward now. The physical sensation of climbing becomes meditative, each step requiring just enough attention to keep you grounded in the present moment, while allowing your mind to drift peacefully along currents of thought and observation. Your legs work steadily, but without strain, the regular lifting and placing of each foot, creating a rhythm that harmonizes with your heartbeat and breathing. The slight spiral motion means you're constantly shifting your weight in minute ways, a gentle dance with gravity and balance that feels more like floating than climbing. Somewhere above, you begin to hear a new sound, not threatening, but intriguing, it's the whisper of air moving more freely than in the enclosed spaces below, suggesting that your spiral journey is leading toward a more open area. This promise of discovery adds a pleasant note of anticipation to your steady ascent, though there's no urgency in it. Whether you reach your destination in the next few steps or the next few dozen matters little. The climbing itself has become its own reward, its own form of moving meditation. The candle flame has become your constant companion in this vertical journey, its steady glow creating a bubble of warm visibility that moves with you up the ancient stairway. Sometimes a slight air current will make it dance momentarily, and when it does, the shadows on the walls perform their own brief ballet, bringing the carved stones to life for just an instant before settling back into their patient stillness. You've climbed perhaps 50 steps now, enough to have made a complete revolution around the tower's interior and begun another, and still the stairs continue their gentle spiral upward. Your shadow accompanies you on this journey, cast by the candlelight onto the curving walls in a way that makes you appear to be climbing alongside yourself. Two figures moving in perfect synchronization through this timeless space. Sometimes your shadow falls on the inner wall of the spiral, sometimes on the outer, depending on how you hold the candle, creating a constantly shifting sense of companionship. You are both the observer and the observed, the climber and the witness to climbing, singular and doubled, alone and accompanied. The storm continues to provide its soundtrack to your ascent, but now you're beginning to hear it from different angles as you rise through the tower's levels. What was the sound of rain against lower windows becomes the more complex symphony of weather, encountering the castle at various heights and exposures. Sometimes the wind seems closer, sometimes more distant, creating an ever-changing atmospheric composition that accompanies your spiral meditation, like music written specifically for this ancient dance of ascension. You sense you're nearing the top of this ancient spiral when the quality of air around you begins to shift. The stone walls curve away more gently now, and ahead, carved into the weathered stone, you notice the outline of a wooden door. It's substantial yet welcoming, its oak planks darkened by centuries but still solid and true. The iron hinges are massive things, forged by craftsmen who understood that some doors must stand against time itself. Yet there's nothing forbidding about this portal. Quite the opposite. Something about its proportions, the way it sits perfectly within its stone frame, suggests that you've arrived exactly where you belong. The storm's voice has changed here too. The wind no longer howls with the fierce intensity you heard at the tower's base. Instead, it sighs around the upper stonework like an old friend settling in for a long conversation. Rain still patters against unseen windows, but the sound is softer now, more intimate. It's as though the storm itself has climbed this tower with you and found its own kind of peace in these higher reaches. Your hand finds the door's iron handle, worn smooth by countless other hands across the generations. The metal feels surprisingly warm against your palm, heated perhaps by some hidden brazier beyond, or simply holding the memory of afternoon sunshine from earlier in the day. When you press down, The latch gives way with a satisfying click of well-maintained mechanisms. The door swings inward on hinges that barely whisper, revealing the chamber that awaits you. The room beyond is neither grand nor sparse, but something perfectly between. A space that seems to have been waiting just for you. Candlelight flickers from several points around the room, not bright enough to banish all shadows, but sufficient to reveal the chamber's gentle contours. The flames dance steadily in their holders, untouched by any draft, creating pools of golden illumination that seem to pulse with the rhythm of your own breathing. The walls curve away into comfortable shadows, and you can sense rather than see alcoves and recesses that promise their own quiet secrets. What strikes you most immediately is the warmth. Not just physical warmth, though the chamber is certainly comfortable after your long climb, but something deeper. The feeling that this space has been lived in, cared for, loved. The stones themselves seem to radiate a kind of contentment, as though they've spent centuries learning exactly how to shelter and comfort those who find their way here. You step across the threshold, and your feet meet, not cold stone, but a rich carpet. The weaving is thick and soft, with patterns that seem to shift slightly in the candlelight, perhaps geometric designs from some distant land, or maybe just the play of shadows and flame creating the illusion of movement. Each step across this textile landscape feels like walking on clouds that have been somehow woven into something substantial, yet yielding. The carpet extends throughout most of the chamber, leaving only narrow borders of stone visible along the walls, where the ancient masonry can still be appreciated for its own rough beauty. Windows punctuate the curved walls at regular intervals, their glass thick and slightly imperfect in the way of old craftsmanship. Through them, you can see the storm continuing its work in the world beyond. Sheets of rain silver in the darkness, the occasional flash of lightning illuminating the castle's other towers and battlements. But here in your chamber, those elemental forces serve only as entertainment, a grand performance stage for your viewing pleasure, while you remain completely secure in your refuge. Near one of these windows stands a chair that seems to have been placed with perfect consideration for both comfort and view. It's substantial but not overwhelming, upholstered in fabric that looks incredibly soft in the golden light. The arms are worn smooth by use, and the seat cushion bears the gentle depression that speaks of many peaceful hours spent in contemplation or reading or simply watching the world beyond the glass. You can almost feel how perfectly your body would settle into those familiar curves, how completely the chair would support you as you gaze out at the storm's drama. The chamber holds other treasures too. A small table beside the chair bears evidence of recent use, perhaps a book left open to mark a particular passage. Its page is cream-colored and inviting in the candlelight. There might be a cup there as well, still holding the ghost of warmth from some comforting drink taken earlier. The table's surface gleams with the patina of age and care. Wood so old it's achieved that perfect balance between durability and character that only comes with centuries of gentle use. Along one wall, wooden shelves stretch from floor to ceiling, filled with volumes that seem to contain all the peaceful wisdom of ages. Their spines create a tapestry of colors in the gentle light. Deep blues and forest greens, rich browns and burgundies, all faded slightly by time into the most soothing of hues. You sense these are not books that would challenge or disturb, but rather collections of gentle stories, peaceful poetry, meditative philosophy, exactly the sort of reading that would complement the chamber's tranquil atmosphere. The storm outside provides a constant, soothing percussion to accompany your exploration of this space. Rain continues its gentle drumming against the windows, while wind moves around the tower's stone crown with deep, musical sighs. Sometimes a stronger gust will cause the candle flames to flicker more intensely, sending shadows dancing across the walls in ways that seem choreographed rather than random. The interplay between the storm's natural rhythms and the chamber's human comforts creates an atmosphere of perfect balance, wild nature acknowledged and appreciated, but held at just the right distance to enhance rather than disturb your peace. You notice details that speak to thoughtful preparation for your arrival. A soft throw draped across the chair's arm, ready to provide additional warmth should the night grow cooler. Slippers waiting by the hearth, their leather supple and their fleece lining promising perfect comfort for feet that have climbed long stone stairs. Even the candles seem to have been lit at precisely the right time to provide maximum ambiance without the harsh brightness of full illumination. The hearth itself draws your attention, not large enough to dominate the chamber, but substantial enough to promise real warmth. A small fire burns there, its flames a deeper gold than the candles, occasionally sending tiny sparks up the chimney to join the storm in the darkness above. The wood burns with barely a sound, just the occasional soft pop or gentle sigh as sap encounters flame. The scent it releases mingles perfectly with the chamber's other subtle fragrances, old wood and clean stone. The faintest hint of lavender from some long-ago preparation of linens, the honest smell of rain-washed air seeping through ancient walls. This is clearly a chamber that understands the art of refuge. Every element has been considered not just for function, but for the deeper human need to feel completely, utterly safe. The storm continues its magnificent performance beyond the windows, but here, in this carefully tended space, you are beyond its reach. More than that, you are in the perfect position to appreciate its wild beauty while experiencing absolute security. The Yush bed, positioned to take advantage of both the hearth's warmth and the window's views, appears to be the chamber's masterpiece of comfort. Its frame is sturdy oak, darkened by age to a deep brown that gleams softly in the candlelight. The mattress rises thick and inviting, covered in linens that even from across the room promise softness beyond imagining. Pillows nest at its head like gentle hills covered in snow-white fabric, and a coverlet the color of deep forest shadows lies folded at its foot, ready to provide whatever degree of warmth the night might require. You realize that everything in this chamber has been arranged, not just for comfort, but for peace of mind. The door through which you entered feels solid at your back, its iron hardware speaking of security that has been tested by centuries. The windows provide connection to the world beyond, while maintaining absolute protection from its elements. The furniture offers every possible comfort while taking up exactly the right amount of space, enough to serve every need, not so much as to feel cluttered or overwhelming. This is a sanctuary in the truest sense, a place where the outside world's complexities cannot follow. The storm rages on, but its fury only emphasizes the completeness of your shelter. Here, surrounded by the thoughtful accumulation of centuries of human wisdom about what makes a space truly restful, you have found something rare and precious, a place where you can simply be without reservation or concern, held perfectly safe, while the ancient drama of weather and stone continues its timeless performance beyond your windows. You find yourself drawn toward the tower that rises from the castle's heart, its circular stone steps beckoning you upward through the soft glow of lantern light. Each step beneath your feet has been worn smooth by countless others who have sought this same refuge. The stone warmed the touch as your hand trails along the curved wall. The stairway spirals gently upward, never steep enough to strain, each turn revealing another small window through which flashes of lightning illuminate the ascending path. The storm's voice grows different here, muffled by the tower's thick walls, yet somehow more present, as if you're climbing toward its very center while remaining perfectly protected. The narrow windows along the stair reveal glimpses of the Tempest's theater, sheets of rain catching the light, the wild dance of trees in the courtyard below, the dramatic interplay of shadow and illumination across the castle grounds. But these are mere glimpses, fleeting moments between the solid security of stone, reminders of the drama you're rising above rather than entering. Your breathing naturally matches the rhythm of your ascent, steady and unhurried, each step taking you further from the earthbound concerns below. At the tower's summit, you discover a circular chamber that feels like stepping into a jewel box crafted by time itself. The room curves around you in perfect symmetry, its walls lined with tall, arched windows that transform the storm into a panoramic display of nature's artistry. Heavy wooden shutters stand ready to close out the world, but tonight they remain open, their deep green paint catching the warm light from oil lamps positioned throughout the space. The windows are fitted with thick, clear glass that holds back the weather while allowing every detail of the storm's performance to unfold before you, like scenes from an ancient epic. The furnishings here speak of comfort, refined through centuries of use. A reading chair upholstered in deep burgundy velvet sits positioned to catch the best light from both lamp and lightning, its high back and generous arms promising to cradle you completely. Nearby, a round table holds an array of leather-bound books, their gilt lettering catching the flickering light, alongside a pewter cup that steams gently with something warm and aromatic. The scent drifts toward you, honey and herbs, cinnamon, and something indefinably soothing that makes you breathe deeper without conscious thought. The floor beneath your feet is covered with a thick Persian rug whose deep blues and warm golds seem to echo the storm's own palette. Its intricate patterns draw the eye inward, creating a sense of movement that mirrors the swirling tempest outside, while maintaining perfect stillness within. The rugs pile is deep enough that your footsteps make no sound, adding to the chamber's profound sense of quiet sanctuary. Along the walls, built-in shelves hold curious objects collected over generations. A brass compass, its needle steady despite the chaos outside. A collection of smooth river stones arranged in a spiral. Dried herbs hanging in small bundles that release their gentle fragrance into the warm air. As you settle into the welcoming embrace of the reading chair, the leather creaks softly, a sound that speaks of countless evenings spent in contemplation. The chair seems designed for this exact purpose, watching storms from safety, observing the wild beauty of weather from the perfect vantage point of shelter and warmth. Your body sinks into its contours, finding support exactly where needed. The velvet soft against your skin and perfectly warmed by the chamber's gentle heat. From here, you can see in all directions the tower's circular design, offering views of the entire storm as it moves across the landscape like a living thing. Through the eastern windows, lightning reveals the rolling hills beyond the castle walls, their familiar contours transformed into something mythical by the storm's dramatic lighting. Each flash creates a new landscape, shadows shifting and reforming, ordinary meadows and groves becoming the stuff of fairy tales. The western view shows the storm's approach, great columns of rain marching across distant fields like curtains being drawn across the world. To the north and south, you can see how the castle sits at the center of this meteorological drama, perfectly positioned to witness the full scope of nature's theater while remaining untouched by its wildness. The tower itself seems to breathe with the storm, not swaying or trembling, but somehow participating in the evening's grand performance. The stone walls transmit the faintest vibration of thunder, just enough to make you aware of the storm's power without ever suggesting vulnerability. It's as if the tower has learned, over centuries of such nights, how to dance with the weather rather than simply endure it. The sensation is deeply comforting, like being held by something ancient and wise that has weathered every possible storm and found joy in each one. You reach for the steaming cup, its pewter surface pleasantly warm against your palms. The drink within tastes of honey and chamomile, with hints of lavender and something else, perhaps elderflower or a touch of lemon balm. It warms you from within, spreading a gentle heat through your chest and limbs that complements the chamber's own ambient warmth. The liquid seems to carry the essence of peaceful evenings and restful nights, each sip deepening your sense of settlement and contentment. The steam rises in delicate spirals that catch the lamplight, creating tiny, ephemeral sculptures that form and dissolve in endless succession. The books on the table beside you promise hours of gentle engagement, their leather covers soft with age and handling. You can see titles embossed in gold, collections of poetry, volumes of natural philosophy, stories of distant places and quiet adventures. Some lie open as if recently read, their pages holding bookmarks of pressed flowers or strips of ribbon. The sight of them adds another layer to the chamber's invitation to slowness, to the luxury of time spent in contemplation and wonder. Even without opening them, their presence enriches the space, suggesting the countless peaceful hours they have provided to others who have sought refuge in this circular sanctuary. A particularly brilliant flash of lightning illuminates the chamber completely, casting everything in stark silver relief before fading back to the warm golden glow of the lamps. In that moment of brightness, you notice details previously hidden. The intricate carving on the chair's wooden arms, the way the rug's pattern seems to flow like water around the room's perimeter, the collection of small crystals on the windowsills that catch and fracture the light into tiny rainbows. The thunder that follows rolls across the landscape like a great drum roll, its sound somehow musical when heard from this perfect height and shelter. The temperature in the chamber remains beautifully constant, warm enough to banish any chill from the storm outside, yet fresh enough to carry the clean scent of rain-washed air. This balance seems effortless, as natural as breathing, created by some perfect confluence of the tower's design and the evening's atmospheric conditions. The air itself feels alive but peaceful, stirred gently by tiny currents that carry the mingled fragrances of the herb bundles, the leather books, and that indefinable scent of clean stone that permeates the castle. As you settle deeper into the chair's embrace, you become aware of the tower's unique acoustic properties. The storm's sounds reach you perfectly modulated, present enough to appreciate their wild beauty, but gentled by the stone walls into something almost musical. You can distinguish the different voices within the tempest, the steady percussion of rain against glass, the higher notes of wind singing through the castle's many passages and crenellations, the deep bass notes of thunder rolling across the hills. Each sound seems purposeful, part of a great natural symphony of which you are the sole, privileged audience. The circular nature of the chamber creates a sense of completeness that goes beyond mere physical comfort. There are no corners here to catch shadows or create hidden spaces, no angles to suggest incompleteness or division. The room curves around you like an embrace made of stone, and its proportions somehow perfectly matched to human scale and need. You are not dwarfed by its grandeur, nor cramped by its limitations, but held in precisely the right relationship between shelter and openness, between security and wonder. The storm continues its magnificent display beyond the windows, but here in the tower's heart, you have found something rare and precious, a place where you can witness the full power and beauty of nature's drama, while being held completely safe from its effects. The tower stands as a testament to human ingenuity in creating spaces that enhance rather than diminish our connection to the natural world, offering not escape from the storm, but the perfect vantage point from which to appreciate its wild artistry. In this circular sanctuary, surrounded by the accumulated wisdom of those who designed this refuge centuries ago, you rest in perfect contentment, cradled by stone and time, while the ancient dance of weather and earth continues its eternal performance all around you. The gentle contentment of the tower room gradually gives way to something new stirring within you. Not restlessness, but rather a quiet curiosity that whispers of unexplored corridors and moonlit chambers waiting beyond this circular sanctuary. The storm outside has softened to a steady, rhythmic percussion against the ancient stones, creating the perfect backdrop for a leisurely midnight exploration. Your body feels wonderfully relaxed, yet alert in that peaceful way that comes when sleep hovers nearby, but hasn't quite claimed you, leaving you suspended in that magical threshold where the castle's mysteries seem most accessible. Rising from your comfortable position, you move with unhurried grace toward the spiral staircase, each step downward a gentle descent into deeper quiet. The stone steps, worn smooth by countless generations of castle dwellers, feel cool and reassuring beneath your feet. The narrow stairwell wraps around itself in a hypnotic spiral, and you find yourself moving in harmony with its ancient geometry, your hand trailing along the curved wall where medieval masons left subtle variations in the stonework, tiny imperfections that speak of human hands shaping each block with patient care. At the bottom of the tower, you emerge into a corridor you haven't fully explored, one that stretches away into intriguing shadows, punctuated by pools of gentle moonlight streaming through tall, narrow windows. This hallway feels different from the passages you've traveled before, more intimate somehow, as if it were designed for quiet contemplation rather than the bustle of daily castle life. The walls here are lined with alcoves, each one containing some remnant of the castle's long history. A carved wooden chest with iron hinges that gleam dully in the moonlight. A small stone shelf holding what appears to be an ancient oil lamp, its brass surface tarnished to a warm patina. Your footsteps create the softest whisper of sound as you move forward. The stone floor beneath you, covered here and there with worn carpet runners that must have been magnificent in their prime. The fabric feels thick and substantial under your feet, woven with patterns you can barely make out in the dim light but can sense through touch. Raised designs that speak of master craftspeople who understood that beauty should be felt as well as seen. The carpet's deep pile muffles your movement, creating an almost dreamlike quality to your progress through this nighttime realm. A subtle shift in the air draws your attention to an arched doorway leading off the main corridor. The opening frames a view into what appears to be a small chapel or meditation chamber, its interior bathed in the most exquisite silver light filtering through stained glass windows. The colored glass, nearly black in the darkness, allows the moonlight to pass through and transform streams that paint subtle hues across the stone floor. Deep purples that seem almost gray, rich blues that whisper rather than sing, touches of amber that glow like dying embers. You step across the threshold into this sacred space, immediately sensing the weight of centuries of quiet prayer and contemplation that seem to linger in the very air. The chamber is small and intimate, with wooden pews arranged in 2 short rows facing a simple stone altar. Behind the altar, a larger stained glass window depicts what might be a garden scene, though in the moonlight, the details merge into abstract patterns of shadow and gentle radiance that shift almost imperceptibly as clouds drift across the moon outside. The silence here possesses a quality unlike any other quiet you've experienced tonight. Not the expectant hush of the great hall or the cozy stillness of smaller chambers, but rather a profound, settled peace that seems to have accumulated over generations of worship and reflection. You can almost sense the countless souls who have knelt here in times of joy and sorrow, their hopes and gratitudes absorbed into the ancient stones. The wooden pews, worn smooth by countless hands and bodies, invite you to sit and simply be present in this moment where past and present converge. Settling onto one of the pews, you feel the wood's warmth beneath you, oak that has weathered centuries yet remains solid and welcoming. The backrest supports you perfectly, carved with simple but elegant curves that cradle your spine. From this vantage point, you can observe how the moonlight plays across the chapel's various surfaces, highlighting the rough texture of the stone walls, creating pools of luminescence on the smooth altar top, casting intricate shadow patterns through the delicate tracery of the window frames. The storm's rhythm continues as a gentle percussion beyond these walls, but here it sounds more like a lullaby than weather. Rain pattering against the stained glass, with the persistence of fingers tapping out an ancient melody. Occasionally, a stronger gust of wind causes the glass to vibrate almost inaudibly, adding the faintest harmonic undertones to the night's symphony. These subtle sounds seem to resonate in the chapel's acoustics, designed centuries ago to carry whispered prayers and quiet songs to every corner of the sacred space. After a time, whether minutes or an hour you cannot say, you rise and continue your gentle exploration, leaving the chapel's sanctuary for the corridor beyond. Here, another passage branches off, this one leading toward what your intuition suggests might be the castle's oldest sections. The stones here show different construction techniques, the blocks larger and more irregularly shaped. Speaking of even earlier builders working with different tools and methods, the walls have a subtle curve to them, following the natural contours of the bedrock upon which the castle was built. This ancient corridor opens into a magnificent vaulted chamber that takes your breath away with its unexpected grandeur. The room stretches before you, its ribbed ceiling disappearing into shadows high above, supported by graceful stone arches that spring from carved pillars. Moonlight enters through clear story windows, set high in the walls, creating dramatic columns of silver radiance that slice through the darkness at regular intervals. The floor beneath your feet consists of enormous stone slabs, each one precisely fitted to its neighbors in a pattern that has remained solid and level through centuries of use. Along the walls, you discover what appear to be tombs or monuments, carved stone effigies of knights and ladies lying in eternal repose, their hands folded in prayer, their faces serene with the peace of ages. The craftsmanship is extraordinary, each figure rendered with such skill that even in the moonlight, you can make out individual details. The chainmail patterns on a knight's armor, the delicate folds of a lady's gown, the weathered features that somehow convey both strength and gentleness. Fresh flowers rest at the base of several monuments. Someone still tends these ancient graves with loving care. The silence in this memorial chamber feels both profound and comforting, filled with the presence of those who have gone before and found their rest. You move slowly among the monuments, reading the carved inscriptions where moonlight permits, noting names and dates that span centuries of the castle's history. Some effigies show the wear of great age, their features softened by time into gentle suggestions of human form. Others remain crisp and clear, as if carved yesterday, testament to the skill of their creators and the protective qualities of the stone. At the far end of the chamber, steps lead up to what appears to be a raised alcove or shrine. As you climb these worn stone steps, each one shaped by countless footsteps over the centuries, you discover a small area furnished with a simple stone bench placed before a window that offers a spectacular view of the castle's inner courtyard. From this elevated position, you can see how the various buildings and walls fit together, creating the protected space within the fortress walls where daily life once flourished. The courtyard below appears transformed in the moonlight and gentle rain. What must be bustling during daylight hours now resembles a peaceful garden, with the wet cobblestones gleaming like polished jewels and shadows creating intimate spaces between ancient walls. You can make out the shapes of what might be herb gardens or flower beds, carefully maintained spaces where beauty has been cultivated within the fortress's protective embrace. The sound of rain collecting in gutters and flowing through ancient drainage channels creates a subtle water music that rises to your elevated perch. Settling on the stone bench, you find it perfectly positioned for contemplation, offering both the intimate view of the courtyard below and a sense of connection to the memorial chamber behind you. The stone retains a surprising warmth, as if the countless souls who have sat here in quiet reflection have left something of their peaceful presence in the very rock. Your breathing naturally slows and deepens as you absorb this scene of timeless tranquility, feeling yourself becoming part of the castle's ongoing story of shelter and sanctuary, watchfulness, and rest. This tranquil communion with the castle's enduring spirit draws you naturally toward the next stage of your nocturnal sanctuary. Rising slowly from the worn stone seat, you feel the night air shift around you as you turn away from the memorial chamber and its quiet vigil. Your footsteps carry you through corridors now familiar yet still mysterious, past sleeping chambers and forgotten alcoves, until you find yourself drawn toward the gentle pull of something deeper, more sacred within these ancient walls. The hallway you enter feels different from the others you've traversed tonight. The stone here bears a subtle patina of reverence, as if centuries of whispered prayers have polished the very air to a softer quality. Arched doorways lead to smaller chambers, but your path draws you steadily forward toward a larger opening ahead, where the darkness seems to hold a different kind of depth. The storm outside continues its steady percussion against the castle walls, but here the sound takes on an almost musical quality, like distant organ notes played by invisible hands. As you step through the arched entrance, the space that opens before you takes your breath away with its serene majesty. The chapel rises around you in perfect Gothic harmony, its ribbed vaulting disappearing into shadows high above, while clear-story windows filter the storm's intermittent lightning into gentle, diffuse illumination. The air here carries the accumulated weight of countless devotions, not heavy, but substantial, like stepping into a pool of crystallized silence where every breath becomes a meditation. Your eyes adjust gradually to the chapel's particular quality of darkness, and details emerge like secrets willingly shared. Stone pillars march in stately procession toward the altar, their capitals carved with delicate foliage that seems to whisper of eternal spring, despite the winter storm raging beyond the walls. Between these pillars, wooden pews rest in perfect rows, their surfaces worn smooth by generations of hands and bodies seeking comfort in this sacred space. The wood exhales a faint scent of beeswax and thyme, speaking of careful tending through the centuries. Moving deeper into the chapel's embrace, your footsteps create the softest echo against the stone floor, each sound absorbed quickly into the vault overhead, as if the very architecture were designed to welcome solitary contemplation. Near the front of the nave, you discover a pew that seems to call to you with particular invitation. Its position offers a perfect view of the altar while remaining cradled in the protective shadow of a massive pillar, creating an intimate alcove within the grander space. Settling onto the wooden seat, you're surprised by its gentle warmth, as if the countless faithful who have occupied this same spot have left something of their peaceful presence in the very grain of the wood. The pew's surface bears the subtle impressions of use, slight depressions where hands have rested, a gentle curve worn by bodies leaning forward in prayer or meditation. These marks of human presence don't diminish the chapel's sacred atmosphere, but somehow enhance it, reminding you that this place has offered sanctuary to seekers across the ages. From this vantage point, the altar becomes a focal point of quiet magnificence. Though simple in its construction, a block of honey-colored stone topped with what appears to be a cloth of deep burgundy, it commands the space with understated authority. Behind it, stained glass windows rise toward the vaulted ceiling, their colors muted in the storm-filtered light, but still suggesting scenes of profound meaning through their intricate leadwork and jewel-toned fragments. Lightning flickers beyond the windows, and for brief moments the entire chapel transforms. The stained glass blazes to life, casting pools of color across the stone floor, sapphire blue streaming from robed figures, ruby red flowing from symbolic hearts and flames, emerald green dancing from depicted gardens and trees of life. These momentary illuminations feel like gifts, brief revelations that fade back into gentle shadow, leaving you with the impression of having witnessed something precious and fleeting. The silence here possesses a quality unlike anywhere else in the castle. It's not the expectant quiet of empty rooms or the peaceful hush of sleeping chambers, but something more profound, a silence that seems to have been cultivated and refined over centuries of use. This is the silence of answered prayers and patient waiting, of tears shed and comfort found, of questions asked and peace discovered in the asking, rather than in any specific answer. Your breathing naturally synchronizes with this deeper rhythm, each inhalation drawing in not just the cool, incense-touched air, but something of the chapel's accumulated serenity. The stone walls around you seem to pulse gently with their own slow heartbeat, a rhythm older than memory, steadier than the storm, more enduring than the seasons that have passed beyond these windows. You become aware that you're not just sitting in this space, but participating in it, adding your own peaceful presence to the layers of tranquility that have been building here for generations. Above you, the vaulted ceiling creates its own weather system of shadows and subtle light. The Gothic ribbing draws your eyes upward in flowing lines that seem to lift your very thoughts toward contemplation of things beyond the immediate and material. The architectural precision of these stone curves and intersections speaks of minds devoted to creating spaces where the human spirit might find room to expand, to breathe more deeply, to rest more completely than in the everyday world beyond these walls. A particularly long roll of thunder passes overhead, and the chapel responds with its own subtle music. Not echoes exactly, but a kind of harmonic resonance as the ancient stones acknowledge the storm's power while remaining unmoved by it. The sound seems to settle into the very foundations of the building, adding another layer to the accumulated silence, another note in the ongoing symphony of sanctuary that this place has been playing for centuries. As you sit in this profound stillness, your attention is drawn to the smaller details that make this space uniquely sacred. Along the walls, you notice carved stone plaques, their Latin inscriptions worn smooth but still legible in the intermittent lightning. These memorials speak of lives lived in service, of souls at rest, of prayers offered and received. They're not melancholy, but somehow celebratory, marking not endings, but transformations, not departures, but arrivals at a place of deeper peace. Near the altar, brass candlesticks stand ready for flames that would cast their own gentle light across these weathered stones. Even unlit, they seem to hold the memory of countless vigils, of prayers offered in flickering light, of faces illuminated by hope and faith, and the simple human need for connection with something greater than individual concern. The metal bears the green patina of age, speaking of centuries of faithful service, of being touched by countless hands in moments of deep significance. The chapel's acoustics create a unique relationship with the storm outside. Where other parts of the castle have filtered and transformed the weather's voice, here the stone and space seem to translate it into something approaching music. Rain against the high windows becomes a gentle percussion. Wind around the flying buttresses transforms into sustained low notes, and thunder rolls through the vaulted space like the deepest stops of an invisible organ, felt as much as heard. This natural symphony provides a perfect backdrop for your own deepening peace. Each breath becomes a prayer in itself, not of words, but of pure being, of grateful presence in this moment of perfect shelter. The chapel doesn't demand any particular form of devotion or specific belief. but simply offers itself as a container for whatever form of reflection or rest your spirit requires. You feel held here, supported not just by the stone pew beneath you, but by the accumulated intentions of everyone who has ever sought solace in this sacred space. Time moves differently in the chapel's embrace. Minutes might be passing, or hours. The distinction becomes meaningless in the face of such profound stillness. The storm continues its ancient dialogue with the castle walls, but from within this sanctuary, it sounds more like a lullaby than a battle, more like protection than threat. You're enclosed not just by stone and wood and glass, but by intention itself. The intention to create a place where souls might find rest, where hearts might discover peace, where the eternal conversation between human longing and cosmic mystery might unfold in perfect safety. Your eyelids grow naturally heavy in this atmosphere of consecrated calm, your body settling deeper into the worn wooden pew, as if becoming part of the chapel's own patient watching. The sacred stillness wraps around you like the most perfectly fitted garment, neither too warm nor too cool, neither too light nor too heavy, but exactly suited to your need for complete and restorative rest within the blessed sanctuary of this ancient place of prayer. The blessed sanctuary of this ancient place of prayer holds you now in its timeless keeping, and you find yourself naturally transitioning from the upright watching of contemplation into something deeper and more surrendering. Your body knows what it needs, and the chapel seems to offer exactly that sanctuary. Behind the altar, there are stone steps that curve downward into what might once have been a crypt or meditation chamber, carved directly from the living rock upon which this castle was built. The wooden pew releases you gently as you follow this quiet calling toward even deeper rest. Each stone step beneath your feet has been worn smooth by centuries of pilgrims and monks who sought the same profound stillness you now crave. The temperature grows cooler as you descend, but it's the coolness of earth and stone that speaks of absolute stability, of foundations that have never wavered through all the storms that have ever raged above. Your hand trails along the carved wall, feeling the subtle tool marks left by craftsmen whose names are lost to time, but whose devotion remains embedded in every carefully shaped curve of stone. At the bottom of the steps, you discover a chamber that seems to exist at the very heart of the mountain itself. The walls are not the fitted stones of human construction, but the natural rock face, polished smooth in places by underground water that has long since found other channels. Here, carved directly into the stone floor, is a sleeping alcove that might have been hewn for a hermit monk centuries ago, lined now with simple woolen blankets that smell faintly of lavender and the deep, clean scent of stone that has never known sunlight. The chamber is lit by a single oil lamp set in a niche, its flame steady and golden, casting the gentlest illumination across surfaces that seem to absorb and soften the light rather than reflect it. The silence here has a different quality than anywhere else in the castle. It's not merely the absence of sound, but the presence of something deeper, the profound quiet of stone that has listened to prayers for 1,000 years, the stillness of earth that holds all things in patient embrace. You lower yourself into the stone alcove, and the woolen blankets welcome you with their simple warmth. The carved rock beneath supports every curve of your body as if it had been shaped specifically for this moment, for your particular need for rest. The stone holds the perfect temperature, neither cold nor warm, but exactly the neutral embrace that allows your body to find its own natural rhythm without any external demand for adjustment. Above you, the storm continues its ancient conversation with the castle walls. But here, in this chamber, carved from living rock, that sound has become something else entirely. It's the distant lullaby of wind finding its voice against stone, filtered through layers of carefully fitted masonry and transformed into the softest background whisper. Like the memory of ocean waves heard in a seashell, the storm's presence reaches you as nothing more than a gentle, rhythmic breathing that seems to match your own gradually slowing heartbeat. Your head rests against a small pillow that someone has filled with dried herbs from the castle garden, and you catch the faintest traces of rosemary and thyme, scents that speak of summer sunshine and careful tending, of continuity and care that spans seasons and years. The lamp flame flickers almost imperceptibly, not with any urgency, but with the tiny regular pulse of fire that knows it has sufficient oil to burn through the longest night. The stone walls around you seem to pulse very gently with their own ancient rhythm, as if the mountain itself has a heartbeat that becomes apparent only in moments of profound stillness like this. Your breathing naturally synchronizes with this deeper pulse, your chest rising and falling in harmony with rhythms that were established long before human memory began, and will continue long after the last storm has blown itself out against these unchanging cliffs. In this place, wrapped in stone and wool and the gathered quiet of centuries, your body finally releases the last tensions it has been carrying. Your shoulders settle more completely into the blankets. Your hands rest openly at your sides, no longer needing to hold or grasp or maintain any particular position. Even your jaw relaxes, allowing your mouth to fall slightly open in the trusting vulnerability of approaching sleep. The oil lamp's golden light plays very softly across the carved ceiling above you, where some long ago artist has created simple patterns that might be stars or flowers or just the natural expression of devotion given form in patient chisel work. Your eyes trace these gentle shapes without effort, following curves that lead always toward rest, toward the natural closing of sight in favor of inner journeying. Your eyelids grow heavier now, weighted not with tiredness, but with the accumulated peace of this perfect sanctuary. Each blink becomes longer, each return to vision softer, until the golden light begins to merge with the natural darkness behind your closed eyes. The distinction between seeing and not seeing fades into something more gentle, more allowing. The stone beneath and around you holds its perfect embrace, neither demanding nor withdrawing, simply present in the way that only the most ancient things can be present. Constant, reliable, accepting of whatever comes. Your body trusts this stone support completely now, releasing any remaining sense that it needs to maintain its own structure or position. The mountain holds you, The carefully carved chamber cradles you. The woolen blankets provide exactly the warmth needed for comfort, without overwhelm. Your breathing continues to slow and deepen, drawing in air that tastes faintly of stone dust and sanctified space. Air that has been breathed by countless others who sought this same profound rest in this same unchanging chamber. You are part of an ancient tradition of those who have found ultimate safety in the heart of stone, in the embrace of earth that never wavers, never judges, never grows weary of providing shelter. The storm above has become nothing more than the distant whisper of wind through stone corridors, a sound so far removed from urgency that it serves only to emphasize how completely separated you are from anything that might disturb or demand. Here, in this deepest sanctuary, there are no requirements except the natural requirement to rest, to sleep, to allow consciousness to fade into the restorative darkness that heals all things. The lamp flame grows smaller now, or perhaps your perception of it grows softer, less defined at the edges. The golden light seems to blend with the stone walls until everything takes on the same warm, neutral tone of perfect safety. Your thoughts slow to match your breathing, becoming less like active thinking and more like the gentle drift of awareness through increasingly peaceful spaces. The carved patterns on the ceiling above seem to move very slightly in the shifting light, not with any urgency, but with the slow dance of shadows that have been performing this same gentle ballet for centuries. Your eyes may be open or closed now. It matters less and less as the external world and the inner world of approaching sleep begin to merge into one seamless experience of supported rest. The woolen blankets seem to grow lighter around you, or perhaps heavier, or perhaps the distinction between light and heavy no longer applies to anything in this chamber where all sensations have been refined to their most peaceful essence. Your body continues to settle deeper into the stone alcove, not sinking, but rather joining, becoming part of the eternal stillness that characterizes this place. Your heartbeat has found its slowest, most natural rhythm now, no longer needing to maintain any particular pace, but simply following the ancient pulse that seems to emanate from the stone itself. Each beat spreads warmth through your chest and limbs, warmth that has nothing to do with temperature and everything to do with the deep recognition of perfect safety. The chamber around you seems to expand and contract very gently with your breathing, or perhaps you expand and contract with its breathing until there is no meaningful distinction between your own rhythm and the rhythm of the sacred space. The boundaries between your body and the stone support begin to blur in the most comfortable way, like snow melting into earth, like water joining water. The oil lamp flickers once more, very softly, and the golden light seems to settle into the stone walls where it belongs, where it has always belonged, creating a glow that comes as much from within the rock as from the flame itself. Everything here glows very gently with its own inner light, the light of peace that has been accumulating in this chamber for longer than memory can reach. Your breathing becomes shallower now, more automatic, requiring less and less of your conscious attention. The simple act of drawing air into your lungs and releasing it happens by itself, supported by the same ancient wisdom that keeps your heart beating and your dreams forming in the deepest levels of approaching sleep. You no longer need to participate actively in the process of being alive. Life sustains itself here, in this place where stone and flesh and spirit merge into one gentle experience. The sounds of the storm, already distant, fade further into something that might be silence, or might be the sound of stone dreaming. The lamp flame grows dimmer, or your awareness of it grows dimmer, until there is only the softest glow surrounding you, the glow of perfect rest approaching, like dawn approaching, inevitable and gentle and exactly timed for your deepest need. Your thoughts scatter like leaves on a barely perceptible wind, each one drifting away without resistance, without any need to grasp or follow or remember. They dissolve into the stone embrace that holds all things lightly, that keeps all things safe, while asking nothing in return except the trust to let go completely. The woolen blankets seem to merge with your skin, becoming part of your natural warmth rather than something external that covers you. The stone beneath feels less like stone and more like the most natural resting place, carved by time and devotion into exactly the shape that welcomes your particular need for deep, restorative sleep. Your body settles into its final position for the night, each muscle and bone finding its most relaxed alignment, supported completely by rock that has been supporting sleepers for centuries and will continue to offer this same perfect support for centuries more. You become part of an unbroken chain of rest, of trust, of surrender to the healing power of sleep embraced by stone. The chamber around you pulses very softly with gathered peace, with accumulated prayers, with the breath of all who have rested here before you. Your own breath joins this ancient rhythm, becomes part of this timeless song of safety and rest and dreams that heal all wounds and restore all strength. The golden light fades to amber, amber to the softest glow, glow to something that might be light or might be the natural radiance of stone that holds sleeping pilgrims. Your eyelids close for the last time tonight, or perhaps they were already closed, or perhaps closing and opening no longer matter in this place, where all states of being merge into one gentle experience of supported rest. The storm outside whispers its lullaby through layers of protective stone. The lamp flame settles into its steady burning. The woolen blankets hold their perfect warmth. The carved chamber embraces your sleeping form with the patience of mountains, the tenderness of earth that knows all things pass, and all things rest, and all things wake, renewed. Your consciousness drifts deeper into stone embrace, deeper into ancient safety, deeper into the healing darkness where dreams are born and strength returns and morning waits with infinite patience for your natural awakening. The mountain holds you, the castle protects you, sleep claims you with the gentlest hands. Deep in stone embrace, safe in ancient walls, held by earth that never wavers, you sleep, you rest, you dream in perfect safety, while the storm sings its distant song, and stone keeps watch, and peace surrounds you, like mountain embrace, like time itself, holding keeping, blessing. Sleep now, in stone embrace. Sleep, and so the story gently fades, like stars at dawn. Sleep well, dear listener. I'll be here whenever you need me. Good night.